the gimmick of dressing up like an idiot actually opens a lot of doors. I look at the two of you.
Verified.
I had to portray Lewis a couple of weeks ago in Carefree, Arizona, which is near Scottsdale. Mm-hmm. And so I go down there, I've got buckskins, and I've got a piece metal, and I've got prairie turnips, and I've got, a kit bag and moccasins. And I go to this thing, and I realize I'm 70. Lewis died when he was 35. So here's this gray-haired guy limping in. No, that's the day we killed that grizzly bear. And it just feels like maybe I've timed out on that one, right? Jefferson didn't die till he was 83, so I've got a little time left.
Yeah, I think we're kind of started.
There's no clapboard. There's no. Okay.
Now you just did it.
That's all we need.
Yeah, Clay, what would you say that you do?
I read and I write and I lecture and I perform and I moderate. All sorts of stuff.
You do all sorts of stuff. I mean, if you search you on the internet, a lot of different careers come up.
I was young and I needed the money. So just saying on some of that.
So that's my question: is who was young Clay Jenkinson, and what did he want to do? What was the path?
I was born in Minot, North Dakota, and I grew up in Jenkinson, North Dakota. My father was a banker, my mother a school teacher. I had one sister, 2 years older. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a photojournalist, and my dream back then, long ago now, was to be a kind of a roving photojournalist, and I was going to buy an RV. They were called Open Road then. The brand, this was like the hot item back then. I was actually going to put a darkroom in it, if you can imagine. This was when film was the only way to do these things. I was going to travel the country following breaking news and floods and disasters and extraordinary moments, and I was going to be a photojournalist, and I hoped that I would be an award-winning photojournalist. So that was my dream. And then I went to college, and it's literally true. My first year was at a place called Vanderbilt in Tennessee, and you go in for your advisor meeting, and the advisor said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be a journalist." And he said, "Well, we don't teach that kind of thing here. We teach, real things, literature and history." And he said, "You've come to the wrong place if you want to study to be a journalist."
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I said, "Well, what shall I do?" And he said, "Well, take some English courses." And so I took Introduction to Drama and Introduction to Poetry and a film course. And it's a tedious kind of story, I suppose, but I was in the 5th floor of this library, and I read Shakespeare for the first time ever. I grew up in western North Dakota, where the language has not been taken to its highest pitch. And I read Hamlet. It was very nicely said, I think.
Kind way of describing
it. And I was up there reading Hamlet, and it just blew the doors off of my life. The language, the tragedy, the beauty. I mean, I had never seen language used at its peak in my whole life. Not even in church, where you get about as close as you're going to get because you read from the King James Bible. I fell in love with literature, and I've been trying to catch up ever since. So that's my story. I never sold coffee. I wanted to sell coffee, but back then we had Folgers and Sanka, and that was it. And so I didn't know how to get in.
Yeah, well, it was a noble effort.
It was a great, someday there will be coffee.
Someday. Shakespeare, Hamlet was what blew the doors off for you.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but yes, that's exactly what happened.
And then you decided, I'm not going to do photojournalism? I
still did. My first year, I went to the Wahpeton Daily News, worked all summer as the chief photographer and a writer, and I had a great career in journalism. I was at the Jenkinson Press from the age of 16 through 18, and at the Jenkinson Press it was great because it was so hapless that I could do everything. I was a sports writer, I was a photographer, I was the darkroom manager. I got to help run the presses one summer. This was like an incredible education, and so I was very fortunate. And then I went to work for the Wahpeton Daily News, and I loved that. This was when the coal boom was going on in North Dakota, so it was really a critical time, and I had a really fabulous mentor, the best possible mentor. But literature just took over, and so here I am.
And here you are, but
Drinking coffee, your coffee.
Drinking coffee.
Mighty Missouri coffee.
It feels like we skipped a couple steps
Well,
because,
are we going to introduce our other host here? I mean, are you going to just do this alone?
ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nolan Johnson.
I mean, I've known Nolan a lot longer than I've known you, and we've been to the mountain. We have been to California together. We have been to Massachusetts together. We've been to Missouri together. We've been
You
to
talking
Montana
about you and
together.
Nolan?
Yes.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah. So I mean, we have a lot of mileage,
It's true.
and so you're just ignoring him.
I try to ignore him most of the time, but
Nolan, you're allowed to speak, right?
I'm fine being in the background.
Well, then no, I should have read the contract.
then nod, man.
Yes, we'll describe. Nolan's wearing Nolan's wearing really actually quite decent shoes. No wonder I didn't recognize him. One of my only complaints about Nolan is we go off on these trips, we meet these really great people, and they say, "Who's the idiot in the yellow shoes?"
Or the red shoes.
Or the red, or the green, or the blue, or whatever they are. And I think, come on, let's be professional here.
That actually came up a couple times in this last year. That Hey Dudes, the shoe, that shoe brand, you know?
Right? No,
Slip-on?
no.
The yellow ones, right?
Yeah, so I'm an adult, so I wouldn't know that.
Well, that we were notified that they are not. I don't know.
Not
what would you
happy
say?
with you wearing.
No.
No. They're not acceptable footwear.
Yeah,
For
like
whom?
People.
So
An ex-girlfriend,
who notified?
actually. An ex-girlfriend notified me.
Your ex-girlfriend said, "Ixnay on those shoes."
on the ooze shay.
And but did she? Do you wear them too?
I had now.
But it's mostly Nolan, isn't it? I mean, did she object to him maybe? And the shoes were just a convenient way to do it.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I think we got to ask that question.
She
But anyway,
might
she actually, I mean, first of all, kick her to the curb. You can wear any shoe you want, honey. Come on.
Thanks,
This is
Clay.
America. What does America stand for if it's not the right to wear stupid shoes?
be- Oh,
Yeah, here. Hey, we're clicking champagne. Oh, it's coffee.
yeah.
No, really. I mean, come on. I mean, if I had a girlfriend who said,
Which you don't. All right.
and how's your love life working out for you?
All right,
All right.
okay,
Let
we'll
that
continue.
go. Right, yeah. If I had a girlfriend who said, "I don't like your shoes. Please don't wear those shoes," I'd say, "Yeah, that's it. You don't get to,
Right then?
you can advise, but you may not instruct." Any woman that wants to see, here's the thing that you will learn. You're young. You're like, what are you, 20 and 26? But
Exactly.
Someday, I meant emotionally. Someday you will learn that you cannot change another person. You hope you can. You hope, like you think, oh, I'll just love her to death, and then she'll finally, no. People are sort of what they are, and when you change, it's because you have decided to change. And a loving girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever can help you along in that. But if they say, do this, don't do that, that's the end. Because it means that they're rigid. Maybe you can only afford the stupidest shoes in the world. I don't know. Maybe somebody told you that was a great babe magnet at some point in 7th grade or something.
I mean, they're comfortable shoes.
That's all you need is comfortable shoes.
Which brings me back to Nolan wearing the idiot wearing.
He's got good shoes on today,
Yeah,
and like a neutral sort of shirt, and
you are looking good.
you're looking a little bit like, you want to be metrosexual, or you're going to go out and maybe chop a little wood before you go to the bar.
That's not what metrosexual is it?
Yeah, nice shirt, but
I don't know.
really, I mean,
I did ask.
You live in an office.
True. What I was gonna say is,
Yeah.
at some point, wearing tights
Well, there's another issue.
as Thomas Jefferson became a thing for you that was momentous,
And it was the tights.
and it was
And
okay.
that's why I did Jefferson. Otherwise, if he'd just been like Abe Lincoln, I would no way, because he didn't get to wear
So that
tights.
was my question: is
Yeah.
the tights came first, and Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah,
After you
first-
you kind of brought the career
you-
to fit the pants.
He bought the motorcycle to match the helmet. Is what it
Yeah,
was.
exactly. And for those of you who don't know, I have portrayed a number of historical characters, and I'm downsizing at this point in my life. And I actually have like this giant walk-in closet, like I should die for walk-in closet, and it's filled with like swords and mustaches and wigs and tights and buckled shoes. And if an archaeologist came into that house, they would say something was really screwy here. But so I've spent about a third of my life in tights. If that's your point, I didn't realize there's going to be some homophobia here. Go ahead.
Well, no. That's a lot of people know you as
that guy,
as that guy,
Jefferson or whatever.
Yeah, and I know Nolan also has a closet full of stuff like that. So
we all have closets, man.
Yeah, we all have closets. But tell me about that journey.
So there was a great man in North Dakota named Ev Albers. He was from Hanover, from up there at Center, and he was the director of the North Dakota Humanities Council when this was brand new in the late 1960s, early 1970s. It was this big thing, the National Endowment for the Humanities, and then every state had a Humanities Council, and they had to do all these public programs. We still have one here. And this is a true story, I was in the LAX airport on my way to England for the summer, and I got one of those white courtesy telephone calls. Like, what? And so, it's like your mother died or something. You pick up a white courtesy telephone, you're pretty sure something terrible has happened if someone can track you down at an airport. And it was him. He said, I've applied for this big grant, and if we get it, we're going to have this tent, and we're going to travel around the Great Plains, and we're going to have these historical characters played by professors. I want you to portray Thomas Jefferson. And I said, okay, because I was sure that this was never going to happen. Who would give you money to have some idiot dress up in tights and pretend to be a dead person? It's insane on the face of it. So I agreed to do it because I didn't know any better.
Your instinct was yes.
My instinct was no.
Ah.
I'm not comfortable as in theater. I'm not comfortable in drama. And I didn't think he'd get the grant. So I come back after this summer in England where I'm like doing some real work, studying literature and theology and the Reformation. And I come back and he said, hey, we got the grant. Now you got to do it. And so I said, okay. So, you rent a costume with a stupid white wig. And then I found out, oh, my goodness, it's Jefferson, like one of the most extraordinary men who ever lived on earth. And he knew wine, and he knew architecture, and he knew library science, and he knew agronomy. And he was one of our greatest diplomats, and he wrote the Declaration of Independence, and he separated church and state. He built some of the most beautiful homes in America, plus he designed the Capitol at Richmond and sort of set in motion the neoclassical architectural revolution in this country. So I realized, oh my goodness, this is like marrying the Encyclopedia Britannica. If I'm going to portray Jefferson, I have to know stuff. You can't just say, hey, I wrote the Declaration of Independence. Any questions? You have to know stuff. And the rule is you have to take questions on any subject. You can't be like plant the questions or. So if someone says, hey, what about when Mr. Madison did such and such a thing, you've got to know the answer or you're just like an idiot. And so it turned out well, but I still am uncomfortable.
Really?
When I dress up in costumes. Very uncomfortable.
When you started, how much of it were you winging it versus how much how deeply did you study?
I studied enough. I always overstudy. That's been my pattern. But for a couple of years, I always say, I used to train other Chautauquans, they're called. I'd say you need to do 50 performances before you know what you're doing. So that's a lot. But once I fell in love with all this, like this, I wouldn't be doing Goebbels, from Germany, or even Alexander Hamilton. I would only choose a character that could really open my life up, right? And so I started to get good enough at it, but I don't know if this is true of the two of you, but when people ask me questions, sometimes I think, well, I could talk forever, and other times I think, this is very shallow, and I don't want a second question.
That one.
And so when I get close to that, I go, ee. So I was about 5 or 6 years in, and a fifth grader asked me a question, and she said, Mr. Jefferson, who were your guardians after your father died? Who would know this, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, I made some answer. I decided that, and when I always break character. When I broke character, I apologized and said I should know that. And I decided I will never be stumped again. I will never be stumped again, and I never have been.
Who were his caretakers?
What was his name? One was William Small, who was a professor at William and Mary. And so, you learn that stuff. And I've got now that I've do many different characters and many different things. My view is that your brain is like a bookshelf, and if you put something into this end, something has to drop out. It's a zero-sum game, and so I've probably forgotten more than I ever knew about any of this stuff.
Sure.
But it's all good, and so it's been much more satisfying than I could have thought. I've addressed almost 30 legislatures, the Supreme Court, several presidents. I've done this on cruise ships. I've traveled with it in Europe. I've led cultural tours all over the place. It's amazing because if I were just a professor, even if I were a good professor, most of that wouldn't happen. The gimmick of dressing up like an idiot actually opens a lot of doors. Well, I look at the two of you.
Verified.
Yeah.
I've always overstudied. I just don't test well.
Well, you're not a test. Why is that?
No, it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
Nolan was a tour guide.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, he was up at Fort Mandan.
Fort Mandan.
And, of course, that was one of our bonds because I'm a Lewis and Clark guy. I had to portray Lewis a couple of weeks ago in Carefree, Arizona, which is near Scottsdale. And so I go down there, I've got buckskins, and I've got a piece metal, and I've got prairie turnips, and I've got, a kit bag and moccasins. And I go to this thing, and I realize I'm 70. Lewis died when he was 35. So here's this gray-haired guy limping in. No, that's the day we killed that grizzly bear. And it just feels like maybe I've timed out on that one, right? Jefferson didn't die till he was 83, so I've got a little time left. But I don't think I want to do Meriwether Lewis anymore because
it's revisionist history.
Well, it's
as if
he died as a kid. He was 35. Think of how young that was. He was just getting started.
Did he kill himself?
Yes.
For sure?
Well, no, because
that was what Stephen Ambrose said.
He almost certainly killed himself. I would say that the chances that he was murdered are 1% or 5% at max. We don't have any evidence for murder. None. Zero. All we do, here's why people don't want to believe it. Number one, they don't want a hero to have killed himself, which I get. Number two, he was a marksman, and he died of 2 bullets, one to the head and one to the abdomen. And so if you shoot yourself in the head, I don't think it's very likely you're going to be able to do a second shot.
That was probably the second one.
But, apparently he just blew a bit of his skull off, and it didn't kill him.
Oh.
But that creates some doubt, right? Because, why can't Meriwether Lewis shoot himself once and get it over with?
Hesitation.
What?
Hesitation. Last
DTs,
second.
drunk, nervous.
The other one was in his
and
gut.
These pistols were 20 inches long. So, try that. Turn that against yourself. But still, that's one of the reasons that people don't want to believe it. And then Clark and Jefferson, his 2 best friends, Clark closer than Jefferson by now, they never investigated it at all. They just said, okay. And the way I put this when I lecture about it is that they were shocked but not surprised.
Yeah.
Because from your own work, Nolan, I'm talking to Nolan, who apparently is just sitting here. But he is actually...
And Nolan is there.
He's just thinking about his shoes. But
I got a sweet pair of Pumas at home waiting for me.
that's what you're thinking. When I get home, man, I'm going to put them on. I'm going to strut around the house.
My wife likes me in Pumas.
See how that works out
it's
for
a Mr.
your
Rogers
wife.
situation when he gets home.
Anyway, so there's this possibility, but as Nolan knows, Lewis was a very high-strung, tightly wired, self-punishing kind of guy. And he says 3 times, at least on the journey, 1804 to 1806, that he evaluates the worth of his life on the success of the journey. So imagine if you said, and maybe you do, that you measure your life on the success of the current business that you own. That's nuts, because you know how it works. Most small businesses don't make it. I hope yours does. But if you say, if I don't get to the Olympics this year, my life means nothing.
Right.
That's what Lewis was doing. And if that's your measure, you're going to have a lot of pain in your life.
But he had some of the most success that someone could ever want. And then he was the governor of the Louisiana Purchase at that point?
Governor in St. Louis of Upper Louisiana. And Jefferson was a collector of protégés. He was almost certainly grooming Lewis for something bigger. So what's bigger? Senator, governor. He is governor, but it's a territory. Senator, U.S. Senator, president. I mean, stranger things happened. Lewis could have been the president of the United States. James Monroe was, and Lewis was every bit as talented as Monroe. But Lewis just couldn't re-enter after the journey. He could never re-enter. And that happens to some, like Olympians and Navy
Because
SEALs.
the great adventure is done.
The peak, like now what? What do you do next? And so, Buzz Aldrin, who's one of my heroes, he's not everyone's favorite moon landing. You know there was a moon landing, you too?
Yeah.
You asking, do we know that, or do we
'cause
believe it?
'cause you both have a kind of a blank look, like, what? What? Who's this Buzz Aldrin?
The folder of conspiracies.
Yeah,
is just-
exactly. We're on a sound stage right now in Los Angeles. But so Buzz Aldrin came back, and he's written 4 books, and he was on Dancing with the Stars. He's been married a gazillion times, and his most recent wife is like half his age or less. And he's written these books, and they all end with the same sort of thought: when you've been to the moon, what's left? So I get that for Lewis. But Clark comes back, and he's just like, oh, that was then, this is now, let's get on with it. So it's lucky, the two of them, like, they had very different personality types, and it worked as a leadership style.
Yeah.
Is this what you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like I'm
Interesting to me.
We're just
blathering on.
No,
No,
it's
you're
great.
good.
Now, to bring us back a little, though.
Yeah,
is,
about adventures on the Missouri River.
Well,
No,
that too,
do
but
that later, yeah.
but you were choosing. You fell in love with literature.
did.
That broke the doors wide open in your life. To that, why did you come back to North Dakota?
Oh, yeah. I love North Dakota. I love the Badlands. I love the prairie potholes. I love the agrarian background of North Dakota. I love the improbability of North Dakota. When I travel nationally, people will say, "Where are you from?" And I was in North Dakota. They say, how'd you manage that? And it's almost as if they doubt that there's air service here. I'm proud to be a North Dakotan, really. And I'm a plainsman. I don't want to live east of the Mississippi River, although my career would have been a lot bigger if I'd done that. I love it here. Now, I'm a little disappointed with us at the moment. Oil. A kind of new greed has crept into North Dakota life. And I don't mind conservative. I like conservative, but I don't particularly like angry, rage-filled MAGA types of conservatism. And I think North Dakotans are better than this. I know we're better than this. I know we're better than our current addiction to this movement, because North Dakotans are decent, they're God-fearing, they're church-going, they're law-abiding, they pay their taxes, they're great in a crisis, they're good neighbors, they're fundamentally good. We have a work ethic that's so important that our North Dakotans get jobs wherever they go in the world because people say they show up, they do their work, they have discipline. We are an extraordinary people, and it's because of our agrarian background, I think. Farming. That's gone now. That's mostly gone. We're better than this. We are better than this moment, and we have to wake up and realize, yeah, the Democrats might be full of it, but we have to have a centrist. We have to use our conservatism in a centrist. We need to be skeptical of government. We need to be really skeptical of wokeism and craziness on either end of the spectrum. But to let ourselves be swept up by this moment, which is so filled with rage and ugliness, on both sides, but is not us. And I'm really disappointed because I know we're better than this. And so I'm not sorry I'm here, but I feel a little lonely here. If I lived here, I'm regarded as sort of a Marxist and Leninist by some. I was on Scott Hennon's program last week, and it was like, please welcome Karl Marx. But if I lived
Thank you.
If I lived in Boulder, Colorado, I'd be regarded as a conservative. And so I'm a centrist, and I'm not. I don't universally condemn the current president of the United States. Although things are going to get really serious here, these files are coming out, and it ain't going to be pretty. But I don't want to lose track because that's like a vortex. You go down that path. All I'm saying is I love this place. I want us to sober up and move back towards that great fundamental decency and mutual respect that North Dakota represents at its best.
And outside of the sociological part of North Dakota, what is it about the landscape?
Oh my! Well, I'm not a big Missouri River guy because of the dams, and of course we have to quarrel about that.
There's no quarrel, but I will enjoy that lake.
Yeah. We will talk about that. But
right.
The Little Missouri River, of course. Mm-hmm. The Little Missouri River is one of the great things in North America. I'm writing about it now, and it's an amazing story. There's that. But, when I go to Grand Forks or Fargo, I will usually take the interstate, I-94, but if I go to Grand Forks, I wind my way on 2-lane blacktop highways, and you just fall in love with it over and over again. It's not the Grand Tetons, and it's not the Grand Canyon. It's not Mount Rainier, but there's a kind of a subtle magnificence to the landscape, and you see those farms, and you realize what it took to prove this state up. I mean, our great-great-grandparents didn't have electricity. They didn't have indoor plumbing. They lived in sod houses. They had to carry water in pails for their gardens. I mean, they milked cows and slopped hogs and raised chickens. And there's Anne Marie Lowe is one of my favorite North Dakotans. She wrote Anne Marie Lowe's diary, which I highly recommend. And before she went, this is near Jamestown, before she went to school every day, she had to go out and a mile or half a mile to bring the cows back in and then milk them. And then she had to feed the hogs, and then she had to turn the cows loose, and then she took the milk and put it in a cream separator that has 43 moving parts, and she separated the cream by cranking it, after which she had to sterilize all 43 parts separately for the cream separator. Then she had to go take care of the horses, and then she went to school. I live in a neighborhood up in the north of Bismarck near Horizon Middle School, and all those people up there moved there we'll move there, and then our children will walk to school. Won't that be great? There are 100 million cars every day at the beginning of the school day and the end, and people will drive 2 blocks to pick their children up now. And I'm not saying when I was there, it was snow and we walked 7 miles, none of that. But we've become weenies. We have become weenies. And when you look back at what it took for North Dakota to exist after the Civil War until around 1940, all you can feel is wimpy. I mean, those were heroes. Rolvog, the great Norwegian novelist, wrote a book called Giants in the Earth, quoting from the Bible. These were giants in the earth, these people. And my grandparents were such. They're my heroes, more than my parents, more than Jefferson. They milked cows. They did all this, and they never complained. They were ideal Americans. Quiet, responsible, agrarian people with just incredible decency. And that's North Dakota. That's who we have been. And now we're moving away from that because we're not that state anymore. And these are inevitable changes, sure, but it's not necessarily good.
But you've traveled not only across the nation, but like all over the world. And obviously you've seen some spectacular places.
Oh my.
You still feel like you get back here and see the landscape, and this is home.
The other day I was in Tampa, Florida. I don't know if you heard of Florida. Yeah, I was in Tampa.
I've read about it.
Yeah, it's on the east, and I went to dinner with a North Dakotan actually, and we were sitting out in this cafe. It's 73 degrees.
What was her name?
His name was Shane Balkovich,
okay.
the photographer.
Another great North Dakotan. Okay.
Yeah, and we're sitting out. We're having this beautiful meal, and people are in their shorts and in their halter tops, and they're wandering around in their responsible shoes, many in sandals. And we had this like lovely evening. And I thought if we're in North Dakota, I would be inside somewhere, right, just huddled. But then I came back, and then the next day, I got back at about 10 p.m. The next morning, I went outside to my car, and it was that. And I know you'll both appreciate this. There's that when you go out and it's not too cold. It's cold. It's maybe 12 degrees or 20 degrees, but there's no wind. And there's that crispness. Mm-hmm. There's some kind of a bracing, beautiful, crisp Like, and I thought, this is more enjoyable to me than that was. I mean, think of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was like what you think you want. But this, I would not, if North Dakota did not have this climate, I don't think that I would stay here. I love the winter. I even like it when it's just like crazy winter. We haven't had one of those for a while. But that moment, that's one of my favorite moments of the year. Another one of my favorite moments is another one of my favorite moments is like June 19th or so, just before the solstice. And you're sitting out on your deck and you think, yeah, I should probably go in and check the news or whatever. And you realize it's 10:30. And it's like, it's just endless. And it's so beautiful because you're out there and you're in your shirt sleeves. Maybe you're having a glass of something. And then you feel the temperature dropping. Like, a little more. And then at a certain point, it's like, I better go get a jacket. But then you think, no, I like this too. This is like a great moment when you're just this side of too chilly. That's a great day. Another great day is like in August 25th or something, and you walk out of your house in the morning and you say, fall is coming. That, you know, that moment when you hadn't thought about it not once, and then that morning you walk out and you, fall, it's coming. All those things are so great. Or how about the first snowstorm, the October mini blizzard? I love the October mini blizzard because, you know, it hits us and then you go in like a coffee shop and everyone's stomping around and complaining, but they love it. They're actually kind of thrilled by it because we know this is us and we're equal to it.
When the shoulders start going up like this,
they're all like, oh, it's winter, but they love it. And then, you know, that's a mini storm. That's gone in like 48 hours, and then you get maybe 4 weeks of Indian summer at that point. And then, you know, but oh boy, the day is coming when when winter really comes. It's around November 5th or 10th or something. Every one of those is thrilling. And I lived in California for 4 years. I loved Southern California. What's not to love? But there's a kind of monotony of comfort. And, you know, no North Dakotan leaves the house between November 1st and May 1st without thinking, what if? What if there's a blizzard? What if, you know, what can happen here? Because you have to think of weather in North Dakota in a way that you do not have to think of weather in, say, New Mexico or California or Florida. And so I love all of that. And I just think, you know, Wallace Stegner, one of my heroes, grew up in Saskatchewan, was at Stanford for most of his career, great historian and novelist. He said, we need to create a society to match the scenery. That should be our goal, a society to match the scenery. And we North Dakotans have something that nobody else really has. And I don't think that we've really owned it yet. I think that you know how many of I bet we could each name friends who around November 1st go to Scottsdale for the winter or go to Hemet for the winter or go to somewhere. Because why? They don't really want to be here in the winter. They want to be in a warmer place. And my view is if you don't want winter, you should just leave. I mean, I don't condemn them, but I would never do that. You could never make me go to Scottsdale for the winter.
C.S. Lewis talked about how he always wanted to go.
I just wait up too.
Yeah.
What? How many minutes are we in? The first literary reference from Brian.
34 minutes.
C.S. Lewis. I didn't know.
He wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. He wrote children's fantasy literature, but go ahead. He also was a major theologian and Christian apologist.
Yeah. The Horse and His Boy. The Space Trilogy. Okay.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to where there was the most weather in a day to experience what the day had.
Now, how do you? I don't know this. How do you know this?
I read a bit.
I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying.
No, I saw it on a reel once.
Exactly. And he was a Chautauquan pretending to be C.S. Lewis.
Probably.
Yeah. No, but so he liked to be where there was some rawness in the weather.
Yep. Whatever that was that the day had provided, that's what he wanted to experience.
He's lived in England
most
of his life, all of his life,
Yeah.
and so I've lived in England. It's a hard day. It's 35 degrees and
Rainy,
drizzle, and that's wetter, colder than North Dakota because we have dry winters, which are so much easier.
You wrote about that in The Language of the Cottonwoods about.
I know there's a copy here, but it's never been opened, so I wouldn't.
Did you notice that the spine is pretty?
You guys
fresh?
didn't. You didn't.
I got it on Audible.
You don't. You know. And
No, I went to Barnes and Noble and purchased a copy of that before I'd ever met
a lot
you.
of people. purchase books.
Oh, I've purchased a lot of books.
Did
They
you
don't-
read
I-
any of them?
It's not about how many books you've read. It's how many are on your
Yeah,
bookshelf.
well, then I'm in good shape. But in Modern Family, you know Modern Family.
Yeah.
I know it's a little ahead of you, but what's the daughter who's the crazy one?
I don't know.
Anyway, she when she has an assignment in college, she goes to junior college and has these assignments.
Oh, Haley.
Haley, she just buys the book and then she rips it apart, puts coffee on it, stomps on it a little, and tears it.
Yes.
And then her professors think she might have read it. Is that you?
I mean, not specifically, but I can relate.
No. How much
to the
do you
sentiment.
read? Truly, you read quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't
Nolan,
know.
you too.
Yeah.
You have a daughter. Nolan has a daughter that I adore, who's like the reader of readers.
A book or two a day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And but she's like reading 6 years ahead of her age, and she now. So the key to this is, North Dakota could let her down. We're not the readingest, most vibrant state in that regard. So I hope her teachers continue to fuel that. I know her parents do, but
Shout out, Mrs. Spidell.
this can go. This light can blink out, and it does often. And so you really want her to be nurtured because she could be anything in the world. And she lives at the best time to be a girl because think of it. We have Supreme Court justices. We'll soon have a president of the United States. College professors, law professors. When I was growing up, law schools had 4 or 5 women in the law school. Today it's more than 50%. And so there's been a revolution in gender in my lifetime. And I have one daughter who's 31 years old, and she can write her ticket because she lives now and not 100 years ago. Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably my number one goal in life is to
See her thrive.
see both my
Both your
daughters.
children.
They're now my youngest, who's in first grade, is a reader.
Being taught
Big
by her
time.
older sister how
Yeah,
to read.
and reading
Isn't that cool?
2-3 years ahead of her grade level, and now it's a lot of pressure from not really a reader to
You're an
figure out how
enabler,
to-
though.
yeah, figure out how to nurture that.
Just first of all, it's nice to hear you speak. I didn't know if you could. I thought you were all shoes, but I know that, and it's so important. But I want to say that reading is not the key to success.
It's
It is-
comprehension.
No. It's a key, but you don't have to. Books are not the only way to self-actualize.
Right.
And we shouldn't be snobbish about that.
The state college here has an esports team now.
I hate to hear it, and I hear that you two flamed out in a recent competition.
Yeah.
You brought it up.
Oh, that's being nice too.
The last time I walked into the studio a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, I hate to interrupt, Nolan doing all this really serious work that he does, and I know that Brian's probably thinking about how to build his empire, and
Yeah.
I don't want, it'd be rude for me just to walk through the door, and I come in and I see the two of you, and you look like you've been watching The Big Bang Theory, and you're watching some stupid thing, some video game, and you're nudging each other and high-fiving and hold my beering, and I thought, I have really made a serious mistake thinking you two were serious about life.
Oh no, we're not serious
No,
about
I know that now.
And both in a sense we're very serious about life, but in another sense, in a more
it's
real
a switch
sense.
that's very easily flipped off.
Yeah.
And the fuse breaks with some frequency.
Yeah. Well, what fun would that be if we're taking everything so
No,
seriously?
but so
all the
anyway,
time?
you brought it up, these
the
tournament,
Well,
esports.
I brought it up because you said that
It's not the
reading
only path.
isn't the
It's not
only
path.
thing that.
No, I don't
like,
think so. People walk into my house. I have around 20,000 books now. I've gotten rid of a few. So my house is really just a library, and people walk in and they say,
Yeah, that's accurate.
yeah, and then they think,
I walked into your house and I was like, huh.
exactly. Well, you have a limited vocabulary, but they come in and I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, you should be doing better. If you read all those damn books, I mean, what good? I mean, really, I'm not joking. There's what good has it done you? Because most of my neighbors are much wealthier than I am, have way more toys. Their boats they have RVs and boats and skid steers and jet skis and everything, and they're thriving, and they think a lot of good all that education did for them, because North Dakota is a very pragmatic state. we're good at this stuff. Like my friend Sarah's, I always point to her. She's my rancher friend up at Wing. Her husband Troy can weld. He can strip an engine and replace the rings. He can wire an addition to his house. He can build a Quonset. He can plumb. He can do carpentry. He has an amazing, and you two have some skills too that I know that you do. But like a classical rural North Dakotan has an enormous number of practical skills. There's no way that reading Hamlet can compete with that. I mean, I get it. Life is about facing what's in front of you. My father was so cerebral that he didn't even really know how to use a pliers. I'm a little better than that, but not far, not great. I can weld in a pinch. But I envy these people that have these skills. That's why North Dakotans are so amazing. And as a state, we've neglected high culture a little bit at times. But if it's a trade, I'll take that every time. I love the capacity, the competence of the North Dakota people. And the women, oh my goodness. Go to a place like Mott or Hettinger. There's one woman who's driving a school bus, and she handles the church picnic, and she runs the Girl Scouts, and she is on the committee to make a new website for the town. I mean, these women are like heroes. Urban women, not so much. But these rural women, oh my goodness, they are like super people.
This is fascinating.
It's true. I mean, think of Melanie Carvel. We all know the great Melanie Carvel.
She's from Mott.
She's from Mott. She's one of Mott's greatest single productions. She can
I think that's her description.
I think
on her
that's
Facebook.
on her card. Yes,
Yeah.
she's written a memoir. She's won triathlons. She's a great cook. She's been a great parent.
She's been on this podcast.
She's been on. Well, I don't blame her for that. I would
straight to the top.
Yeah, went right up. What happened to her career? Plummeted after that.
Soon after, but we don't really.
But I mean, just think of it. Here's this woman from Mott, and she's as humble as anyone you will ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
And she's like extraordinary specimen of capacity. Beautiful, fit, funny, generous, super competent, and humble. Mm-hmm. And she's very unusual. But that basic set of skills is not that unusual in rural life. Mm-hmm. There are other women out there that they're maybe not champions at triathlons, but they can bake a good set of caramel rolls, and they can fix the church budget when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
And if there's a flood, they'll help clean out that flood.
That's true. I mean, Melanie is one of my favorite people I've ever met, and then I don't know if you had met her before the podcast, but it was an hour with her, and then Nolan said the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh man,
absolutely incredible person.
She's an incredible human being and would be anywhere.
Yeah.
But her character was set in Mott, North Dakota.
And that's what you were talking about in that part of the language of the Cottonwoods, where you were talking about people who are from.
I did this morning.
You said where people were from North Dakota and called it home, and there's two different people like that who are born here and by necessity, and then they're going to leave, and then there's the people who own North Dakota for all the reasons that you
I left,
mentioned.
I'm glad I left, and I want everyone to have the opportunity to leave for a while and maybe forever. But it's different now. When I was growing up in North Dakota, especially after I became an adult, the state was in serious decline. Our population was dropping, farm bankruptcies all over the state, no new jobs to speak of. This is pre-oil. Coal was important, but not growing. That's the sound of Mighty Missouri coffee being poured into the cup. Oh, now we're banging on the back of it. Yes,
I didn't need any more.
Yeah, me either. I guess just the guest. Oh, the owner pours for himself. Anyway, so people were leaving. The state was like every pastor in North Dakota was going off to suicide prevention training. I mean, this was a dark time in North Dakota. And then around 2003, the oil boom came, and other economic activities. And now the state is the highest population it's ever been. It's the richest it's ever been. When North Dakotans whine about things, I just say, are you kidding? look around, man.
We'd like to whine, though.
We've never had it so good. I mean, the North Dakotans have...
Give us that, at least.
Well, some of you are professionals. North Dakota has never been as well off as it is at the present moment. When I drive around the state today, you see those farms, they are well kept. They have those giant lawns of like 6 acres, and they've got a rig big enough to do that, and they're rolling around on it. The houses are great. The barns are great. The places are painted. There are 2 or 3 pickups and other cars, newish or new. North Dakotans are among the most prosperous Americans on average in the whole country. We have nothing to complain about compared to what it was. Mm-hmm. So in 1980, my parents said to me, don't come back. Go find your happiness somewhere else. Go find opportunity. Make sure you get a chance to fulfill whatever your dream of life is. Mm-hmm. And they didn't think that there was much here. That's changed now. And Fargo is the leader of that, but Bismarck is becoming a lot better at that too. Mm-hmm. But people are staying now and they're coming back now. And I don't know what that means exactly. I have some anxieties about it. But I want every child, your 2 daughters, I'm speaking to Nolan, you will never have children. Nolan, I want your 2 daughters to be able to, if they want to go to Harvard or to MIT or to Stanford, or if they want to go try to be actors in Hollywood or whatever they want to do, I want them to be able to do it and have the confidence to do it and have you say, go, go do it. And they may come back. Most North Dakotans, when they start to have children, want to come back.
So your parents, you left, and your parents said, "Please don't come back."
They said, "Don't come back unless there's a real reason." Yes, never come back. Well, that was different. that was because of the incident in the basement.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah. Like I get why they would say that.
Well, there are these incidents.
Please don't come back.
And they said, and they faked and said, "You have talents." What they meant is just get out.
And you believed them.
I have to.
Yeah.
I'm in therapy.
Okay, and then we have to talk about this. You like Lewis and Clark. You pretend to be Lewis and Clark, and then you follow their footsteps.
They were actually in a boat, but
and we got to come along. I mean, Nolan goes along on a lot of your adventures, and I got to participate.
Well, let me back up here. So I have followed the Lewis and Clark Trail. Last year I went in my Airstream all the way from Virginia all the way out and back. And I've followed the Lewis and Clark Trail many times. I've flown over it. I've been in helicopters over it. I've been in different types of boats. I mean, I know the Lewis and Clark Trail. And then I met you. And you said, come up to Lake Sakakawea and we will take a boat and we'll.
Is he British?
I'm just trying.
Hello, I'm Nolan.
I'm just trying to throw my voice. So then Nolan said, "Now, Brian is he's a world-class fish spearman. He can spear any fish. Yes. He's like a character out of the Odyssey." Wow. And he said, you wait till you see this. When you see him, he'll be drinking his coffee, of course, but he'll be looking around, and then he'll say, "Excuse me, gentlemen," and he'll take his spear and he'll go over there and then this 47-pound northern pike will come out and we will dine on it. And I thought, I have got to see that. So we took a boat onto Lake Sakakawea looking for the mouth of the Little Missouri River. Yes. It was a great trip. And at that point, we hatched the idea of a much bigger trip. So go ahead and pick it up from there.
Yeah. You guys, the section of the Missouri River from the Cannonball River, the mouth of the Cannonball River, basically to the Garrison Dam is the most most unaffected, untouched,
right, river-like,
river-like section of the Missouri River in its entirety.
Well, that's not true, but it's the biggest section in the Dakotas.
Okay, well, Randy Kraft, who has also been on this program,
well, have you been to Montana? Because this anyway.
Probably, maybe what Randy meant was up until the dam.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, from Garrison Dam, which is about 100 miles north of here, to about 12 or 15 miles south of Bismarck is the last free-flowing, I'm using air quotes, section of the Missouri in the Dakotas, and it's wonderful.
So it's less than I thought, but anyway.
Who's this craft?
And you wanted to kind of follow Lewis and Clark's steps through that.
I've always
section.
wanted to do it, to take photographs from the river of the things that Clark was describing. And
Right.
I thought, here are these two extraordinary young men. I mean, I was obviously deluded. Deluded.
Yeah.
I thought, here are these two young adventurers, extraordinary young men, at the prime of their manhood. We'll go out on a pontoon and we'll drift up towards Bismarck, and we will take all these photographs, and then the spear chucker will feed us, and they're smart guys.
We were
bring
going to do
they'll-
just catch and cook.
Yeah, thank God we didn't. And
That
so-
was the idea.
That was the idea. And so I went away and I bought Cloverdale salami,
Yeah.
summer sausage, like the best in the world. I bought steaks at very high
New York strips.
very high quality. Potatoes, onions, you name it. I brought it because
Melanie
I
Carvel's baked beans.
bean thing,
Bean thing.
her famous
thing,
bean
yeah.
thing. And I thought, because first of all, I had no confidence in your fishing, but I thought, even if you ever caught a fish, we'd still want a little variety in our diet. And so I brought that food, and thank goodness, because otherwise we'd still be out there.
Well, they're finicky, that part of that stretch of the river, and I think it's because it's the most untouched section of the river.
Yeah, that's the usual logic on the fish
But
populations.
and you guys brought me on because I knew the direction. I knew the way.
Right, north.
Was that why we brought him?
Yeah. You're like, you just need to get to Bismarck.
I thought we could have
do that.
hijinks. I thought, Nolan and I did it. It would be Lewis Clark, and families and so on. I thought if we have a couple of young men, that this conversation can be all over the map.
Yeah.
So I thought that would really be the ideal mix. And I also made the huge mistake of thinking that the two of you had camping skills.
Oh,
No, that was.
No,
we didn't say that.
I know, but I just thought you would. And
Yeah.
so, then I'll never forget the first night in the swamp. And that was the good night.
What was the bad night? No, that was.
We had a great time.
Yeah,
We had a great time. I had a great time. No fish. We didn't catch a fish.
No, we didn't catch a fish.
But that's all right.
but that's okay. We had steak and
Yeah,
bacon
really,
and
yeah.
eggs
Oh
and
my, yeah.
turkey and cheese.
Of course, coffee.
Yeah, and it is actually interesting to go through that part of the river. That I mean, not even a lot of fishermen go that way. There's not any boat
No,
ramp.
it's pretty remote out there.
Yeah, which even the boat ramp that was nearest probably hasn't been used in years because water's low.
Water's low.
And
It's not. I mean, Lake Sakakawea is a huge recreation zone in the heart of North Dakota.
Yeah.
And Oahe has more of that down in South Dakota.
correct.
But where we were was sort of the least populated part of it, used part of it, until you get about 7 miles south of Bismarck, and then you run into the pontoon circus in the summer.
Yeah, but until that, it was unusual for us to see another boat.
That's
I don't
true.
think we did.
No.
For the first day.
Because I would have failed
First day
out.
we
I would
saw-
have left.
Yeah, first day we saw one that got on the 48's ramp.
Right.
We saw fishermen right away down there with easy access.
Right.
But up until the next boat ramp, we didn't see anything.
So we borrowed a pontoon, and we had all this great food, and we had a great time. It was really spectacular. There were some issues, but they weren't serious, and I want to do it again. So because at that point when we finished, we were like, we're going to do a lot of this, and we have an agenda on Lake Sakakawea, your preferred flatwater reservoir.
That's true. I grew up on that lake.
Yeah.
Still love it. And there's another agenda is that I have a pretty good to great idea of the historical location of Fort Mandan.
And I have a pretty good idea, and they're not the same, but we're going to go figure this out.
Yeah, because I have seen it from the river, to your point.
Right, and I have not, but I have other ways of knowing.
Magical ways.
We'll see. Well, we'll see, won't we? Because typically, we'll figure it out, but nobody
Yeah.
knows. So let me just say, for those who don't know, they spent a winter here from October 24th, 1804 until April 7th, 1805 at Fort Mandan. They built amongst the Mandan and Hidatsa, and that's roughly where the recreation of Fort Mandan is today, up at Washburn. And they had this extraordinary time because there were 4,500 natives here and were very friendly to them and hospitable. And then when they left, they were gone until the following August, 1806, when they came back. Fort Mandan had been burned.
Mm-hmm.
There was almost nothing left of it. And then, according to people who came later, Maximilian of Germany, the river had consumed it. The river had just carried it away. That's the conventional story. I've never believed that. And then when the flood came in 2011, it changed everything, because that flood showed what that river can do. And just about that spot that we both think is roughly where it should be, it dumped, I'm going to use a technical term, a gazillion tons of sand right there. And when the water receded, the outline of some sort of rectangular building was visible. And I think that's where it is, but we don't know. But I've used all the maps. You've heard of maps, right?
Paper things?
Yeah, paper
Fold
stuff.
weird?
Yeah. I brought
All the things that fold funny. Rand McNally, is that?
I brought my maps, and these guys were like, "What is this? You know, you bring your abacus, you bring your musket."
Who's the man with a sextant?
Exactly. So we're gonna go find it, because if we find it, it will be the biggest news in the Lewis and Clark world forever.
Yeah. Lewis and Clark world is going to go ape over what we're about to show him.
And
But
we'll go to prison too for trespassing, but that's all right.
No, I don't. I think it's on Corps of Engineers land.
And we'll find out.
I think
Nolan,
it's
do you have
right.
an opinion, or are you just gonna...
There's a chance that I know whose land is on. It's on, so.
If Clay's right, I do think that I'm right. I mean, I went down with maps, and I mean the things that don't change are the bluffs on the horizon. You can sit down and see the bluffs that he would have seen.
Where Fort Mandan was tucked in one of those bluffs.
Perhaps.
So here's the thing, just like Nolan, you could be our referee. So let's see it. Let's do the map. I've studied Lewis and Clark for 40 years and have written several books about it. And Brian sells coffee and can't spear a fish, but you're probably right about the location of Fort Mandan. Yeah.
But I'm lucky.
You are lucky.
Nolan can agree. I'm lucky.
In love,
With
in life, in fishing.
what you found at the site?
that too. But just, I mean, as a person, we're just doing math. As me against Clay.
I know what he's going to bet on. He's not an idiot.
First, I'm lucky as a person.
I hope you're right.
But I also spend a lot of time down there, and I'm interested, and I've got a keen eye.
Then why do we can't let this go then? Because there's a third person whose name we won't mention, but he's been begging me for 10 years to go find this and has tried to help. And we need to find this.
Okay.
Because this has to be found. Because this would be, for me, for you, it would be like a great, great thing. I get it. And I hope you're right. But for me, it would be like the culmination of a lifetime of my interest in Lewis Clark. If I could announce this to the world, they would think like, holy smokes. This is it's hard to exaggerate what this discovery would mean.
I feel like the North Dakota Historical Society isn't a fan of people. Like, they just don't care. I think they'd
they had
rather
a chance.
be like...
They were contacted, but the person who was trying to convince them that he knew what he was doing, and I think he's right, is a somewhat problematic sort of guy. Okay. And they dismissed him as kind of some idiot who comes in and thinks he knows something.
Yeah, I had a similar interaction with...
How do we, being referee, how do we just do this together?
We do it.
How is one of you going to convince the other of, let's say we get there and they're, are we talking 200 yards apart or are we talking 20 yards apart?
Oh, less than half a mile, certainly.
Okay. Probably
a couple hundred yards
a couple hundred yards at most.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to bring the backhoe, right?
But how are we, sure, yeah. How are we going to verify? Do we have any scientific methods of how we're going to do this?
Well,
yes. Go ahead.
So all of the things that you just said, this would be incredible to find. I really sincerely think that I found it. And it's one of the things that I thought would be interesting to find in that spot, because I do believe that it was burned.
It was certainly burned. We know that.
Yeah, a bunch of burned wood would be interesting.
Good.
And so there's kind of there's an area in the sand that is just, the only remarkable thing about it is that there's just a bunch of charred wood, not coal, but charred wood, in the sand. And I walked the whole perimeter, and then I mapped the whole perimeter. And so I have an approximation of, I mean, there's a little bit of, where the current is taking it, and so it gets oblong. But
Well, first of all, I don't discount your capacity to do this, and I know that you are a man who has luck. I'll just bet you $5,000,
okay.
and then we'll see.
And then I think the good scientific method for this then would be to have some of that wood dated.
Well, if you bring some of the wood and we get that dated, that's for certain. You
Yeah.
already have some, probably.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that, sir. No, I wouldn't do that.
I know where you could find it.
Right, I know. So what? So
And
we
then
do that.
Take it to the.
But you can also get a kind of magnetometer or a LiDAR system that can kind of 3D you, X-ray you down into the ground. And I think if you're look, we're both right in the sense that we know where this has to be, because
Right.
the maps are certain.
Yeah.
We know where Clark had a map, Maximilian had a map. Modern cartographers have worked this, and if you look at the descriptions, it has to be right there. There's no question, because as you said, the river wanders a lot, but it can only wander to a cliff and it can't go any farther, and that's what we know. So I think we're both right. We may be slightly different views of where exactly it is in that spot, but once the wood isn't going to get you there, because there were a bunch of forts up there over those 50-year period. So that wouldn't be definitive. We're going to have to get permission to get a backhoe and go down until we find something more. The perimeter. We know what the shape of it was. We know the square footage of it. Mm-hmm. There was a latrine about 60 yards from the fort itself. There are ways. If we have to get permission, unless we're on federal land.
In which case, we have to get more permission.
Well, or less. I mean, we can find it, but look, if we plausibly find it, there will be a lot of attention. CNN or the History Channel or somebody's going to come in and really want to do this, and you can lose control, and that's why the landowners are a little squeamish about it. Mm-hmm. But I want to go do this. I mean, there can't be three people who are more interested in doing this than we are, because when this fellow went to the State Historical Society, they just dismissed him, and he finally came to me after being dismissed by everybody, and I said, okay, show me, and we went up there, and it has to be there. Now, it may have been washed away by the river, fair enough, but if it's there, it has to be there. And so then he saw this little depression. And I'm not utterly convinced, but this is not worth just dropping. This has to be investigated. And if you're interested, and we have access to boats, and I'll bring the stakes because I have no confidence.
No need. I can catch.
You're going to spear this? It's on the river. Maybe bring some frozen walleye.
Did Lauren Donovan write about that in the Tribune? Is this the same?
It's not. Well, she and I have a long history. She's the one who took me to Pollock to see the stone idols down there that were Lewis and Clark also. Mm-hmm. And then we've looked at
those don't really look like people.
No. I think here's the problem, and you may be susceptible to this. We all are. No, truly, it's confirmation bias.
But you might be.
I am.
We all are, but just so you know.
No, I am too. Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you another example. So there was an iron frame boat that Lewis had made at Harper's Ferry, and they tried to build it. Put it together at the Great Falls, and then it leaked, and they had to deposit it, and so on. So one of the great mysteries of Lewis and Clark is where's that iron frame? And every 3 or 4 years, Stephanie Ambrose Tubbs, who's the daughter of the great Stephen Ambrose, will say to me, "They found it, citizen. We found it." And then they'll go dig, and it's an old rake or it's an old piece of a plow or something. So there's a lot of confirmation bias in this, of you want it to be the case, and so then you determine that it's the case, and then it turns out it's not true. I'm not saying that's true of you. I'm saying it's true of all of us. So I might be showing confirmation bias about that little depression in the sand that I saw a few years ago. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to take a boat up there from the water with all the maps, and you have that really great app.
Onyx.
Oh, my. Mm-hmm. And then we'll get right where it had to be, take a gazillion photographs, get out and walk around, get a little wood, come back, send that wood in for testing, Yeah, I think we have to plan this, and it has to be between June 15th and September 1st.
The later the better, because the water
Will be lower.
gets lower, and my idea is that it's in the water.
Yeah. You're almost certainly wrong, but we'll find out. And I might
And that'll be
almost
fun.
certainly be wrong.
That'll be really fun for me.
But now we have
that
we're
would
missing
be
the bet for
on
$5,000.
CNN. It'll say Brian Jackson, entrepreneur, treasure hunter,
Eccentric businessman.
and
Man about
and it'll
town.
say and it'll say, now you have proven. Is his name Clay Jenkinson? Was he? Yep, that's his name. I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, he thought he knew.
Here I have a video of him eating crow.
Yeah, on CNN.
I hope you're
That'd be
right.
great.
I hope you're right. I would,
Thank you. I do
know,
too.
I would immediately bow to you. It'd be
That
so,
would be on CNN
be
too.
so redemptive.
I look forward to that. Okay, Clay. As we're wrapping up, the last thing.
What, we're wrapping up?
I know.
We're just getting started, man.
I know.
No one's
Well, we
only
could
had
do a
6
part
sentences.
2. We could do a part
No
2.
one has only had 6 sentences.
I ask him to not talk during these.
Really?
with him as always is Nolan.
I'm just kidding. Clay, what do you wish that people knew about you?
Well, let me start by quoting from the French Enlightenment philosopher La Rochefoucauld. You would sleep a lot better at night if you knew how little anyone ever thought about you, which is one of the chief insights about life. We spend an awful lot of time thinking about what other people might be thinking about
It's
us.
a very, very freeing thought.
And they don't really.
They're all worried about themselves.
So, I would say there's 780,000 North Dakotans. I would say at most a couple of thousand know that I even exist. I mean, really, at most. And so you have to be so careful not to exaggerate yourself. But assuming that North Dakotans cared about me whatsoever, I would want them to know 2 things. First of all, that I love America. I'm in love with America. And I'm so disappointed with it right now. And it's not just because of the current administration, but we are really in danger of losing this thing. But I love this country so much, and I'm a patriot. And that's number 1. And number 2, I love North Dakota. I really love North Dakota, and I want North Dakota to be taken more seriously. I think we produce some really extraordinary people in this state. I want us to fall in love with North Dakota for the right reasons. I think North Dakotans they're under enamored of themselves and their state, and they think, well, Yellowstone or Glacier or Montana or Utah. I think we underappreciate little Missouri country. I think we underappreciate our national park. I don't think we have a strong enough conservation ethic in North Dakota. I think we are really an amazing place, and we're going to have to fight to keep it, because our grandparents were farmers, and that defined us. Now that we're not any longer, those values of neighborliness and decency and generosity of spirit and hard work and work ethic and so on, they're not automatic. And you can see the erosion of it. My generation was closer to it than yours. The next generation is farther from it even so, from that kind of agrarian basis of the greatness of North Dakota. I really worry about that all the time. And so I love this state. I've written 2 books about it, more, but 2 especially. And the most recent is The Language of Cottonwoods. I'm going to write more. I want North Dakotans to fall in love with this place for the right reasons. And I think we love North Dakota, but I think a lot of it is we have a kind of an insecurity chip on our shoulders as North Dakotans, and I don't think we should. I think we should be very proud that we're a really extraordinary and unusual place, and we need to sober up and get out of this mode and go back to what we're best at, which is being pragmatic, people who get things done and don't whine about life. And so those are things I really want people to know. And I'm not done yet. I've got 3 or 4 more books in me and a range of other projects. We're going to find Fort Mandan, and you're going to be famous, and I'm going to be left in the sand. Great, really lovely. But it's all right. That's you're young. You're on your way up, and we'll see what happens. But I'm serious about this, and I think I'm not in touch with the main spirit of North Dakota right now. But I always remember this. This is like La Rochefoucauld Part 2. There are 780,000 North Dakotans, and there are 700,000 of them, and only a handful that have my view of the world. And I don't expect my view to prevail. It's a democracy. It's not my state. I'm part of it, but it's their state much more than it's my state, and I have deep respect for that. I have deep respect for the character of the people of North Dakota. I just want them to be better than we've allowed ourselves to be in this period of national craziness that we're going through.
Yeah. Clay, I admire you. Thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for being who you are, and thanks for being on this episode of Another Day, Another Adventure.
I've enjoyed it very much. I wish that Nolan had had a chance to speak, but
Oh, part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian Jackson with Mighty Missouri Coffee. With me is Nolan Johnson with Quantum Digital. So if you like how this sounds and looks, thanks to Quantum Digital, if you like the way that this smells and tastes, that's thanks to Mighty Missouri Coffee. Coffee to your door, mightymissouri.com.